So Clearfield Trust versus United States. Since governments have chosen to incorporate, they must follow all the same rules and laws as other corporations. How do corporations act? They act through contract law. So contracts are how you can prove that they're corporations, right? Because this has already been ruled on by the U.S. Supreme Court. Also, when they started taking Federal Reserve notes, that's another thing that waives their sovereign immunity, is that they take money. Federal Reserve notes are really not money, but what we have been considering money for years. Clearfield Trust versus United States. Since governments have chosen to incorporate. When did they incorporate? Right after the Civil War, 1871. Right after Lincoln brought in the IMF to our soil. You guys know what the IMF is? International Monetary Fund. It's the banking mafia. You guys know that, right? Yeah. So you can sue because we don't have government. All we have is corporations. The state of Texas is a corporation. The state of Oklahoma, the state of Arkansas, Louisiana, Montana, California, they're all just corporations. The city of Oklahoma City, the city of Dallas, the city of, they're all corporations. Yeah, so therefore you can sue them for a pattern and practice of unconstitutional conduct. What about the mask wearing? Right? The airlines were doing that, right? It's already been found unconstitutional. Did you know that? They called it a Biden mandate. They said all the Biden mandates have been found unconstitutional. They're giving you permission to sue. Why are we not taking the airlines? Right? It's already been found unconstitutional. This is collateral estoppel. It's res judicata. It's a done deal. Sue them for making you wear a mask against your free will. Charge them. Bill them. What are you waiting on? Huh? Menards? Oh, yeah. Really? Right? So here's what you do. I'm going to own this airline when I'm done with you. I had to do that. I had to play that card. We flew out to Hawaii August of 2021 for a day straight seminar where we did two, one on Kauai, one on Maui. And when we got into the big island and had to take a puddle jumper to Kauai, there was a mass Nazi on United Airlines that was just on my case. I can't breathe with that stuff on. No. Right? And he was just on me. It's like, ma'am, you just need to put your mask on. And I mean it. Or we're going to get the pilot on you. I said, excuse me, I can't help it that you're gay. Oops, did I say that? The reason I make that joke is sometimes we have a guy buddy of ours who's a comedian, and he does a plain, anyway, comedian routine about it. Anyway, so it reminded me of that comedy routine that he does. So he kept trying to make me wear a mask, I couldn't do it. And so he said, just so you know, I've already talked to the pilot, and this is your, like, he called it a red alert or something. And all of a sudden we land in Hawaii, and the pilot comes on the air and says, ladies and gentlemen, we have a situation here. We're going to take care of the situation before we allow you to disboard the plane. So just stay in your seats until we handle this situation. I'm like, jail today. And David and I hadn't got married yet. We were actually planning our wedding there in Hawaii. And so he had already given me this beautiful engagement ring, and I handed the ring to him. I said, you better hold on to this if I have to go to jail. I don't want the police to have my beautiful diamond ring, right? And all of a sudden, these men with sheriff on their vests and Kevlar vests come and approach our two seats and walk us off the plane. Everybody else had to stay seated. I turned to David jokingly, and I said, David, look, we get to get off the plane first. Isn't this great? We get escorted. So we get off the plane. We're standing in the terminal that was empty because the plane hadn't disboarded yet. And the sheriff deputies were interrogating us. Why didn't you have a mask on? And I said, well, I was over international water. So there's no mask mandate over international water, is there? Is that an international law? I thought it was just on this soil. As soon as we landed, oh my goodness, I put my mask on. See how that works? I couldn't keep it on though. I kept taking, breathing. Anyway, that was one excuse. That, and I wouldn't give my driver's license. And I kept showing, we showed them our passports because they wanted us to identify themselves because they want to tap the bond behind it, right? So the sheriff's deputy says, ma'am, I need to see your social security card. I said, no, you don't. He said, yes, I do. I said, no, you don't. Don't you know it's a felony for you to even ask for it? I'm not contracting with you. He asked me 3 times. I told him no 3 times, and he left me alone. And then they wanted to go send us over to a guy who was going to have us agree to quarantine. You see, it's all contract law. So it was under duress and coercion, and we just wrote under duress. We didn't even sign our names. And then we kept getting texts saying, we need you to check in for quarantine. Well, we never checked in. We didn't play by their rules. And we had, the Hawaiian people are really under a lot of pressure, and they're losing their land over there. It's very expensive land. Because there's not a whole lot of it. It's a beautiful place, tropical paradise. The land's worth a lot of money, and they're trying to use the mask mandate to tank the economy, steal the homeowners' land because they can't make their mortgage payments, because people aren't traveling there for recreation or vacations anymore because they're terrorized. If you travel over there, they're going to say you got to be in quarantine. Who would want to fly to Hawaii and be in quarantine? So they're totally tanking the Hawaiian economy just so they can seize the landowner's land. And yet every store you walk in Hawaii, they were saying, well, you need to put a mask on, ma'am. Put a mask on. Just put a mask on. I mean it. Put a mask on. And then I even almost got in a fight with a Hawaiian. Because I walked to the store to grab a soda, or a can of water, whatever it was, out of the refrigerator. Walked over to the clerk to pay for it. And as soon as I walked in the door, the merchant owner said, ma'am, put a mask on. Do you have a mask? And I said, no. Are you a doctor? A bunch of people in the store listened to this. They all have masks on. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. Because now it's the slaves attacking me for not wearing a mask because they feel like it's important for me to wear a mask. And so a man came up and got in my face. David was across the street pumping fuel for the rental car. I was like, oh boy, where's David? I have to throw down with a grown man to put a hurting on this guy. What's going on? And this Hawaiian guy gets in my face, man, you better put a mask on. Real hateful. And I said, sir, just so you know, because they do have a very strong bias against Caucasians there. They think all white people are bad, out to steal their land. It's not a color thing. There are people, they're bankers, out to steal their land, but they can be any color, not just Caucasians, And so he sees a white face and he thinks, oh, she's a bad guy because she's Caucasian. And I said, listen, I am here to help the Hawaiian people keep their land and to stay free. Don't be a slave. Don't give in to the course of slavery. Don't wear a mask. Don't cover your God-given face. It's not healthy for you. And it's tanking your whole economy so they can come and seize all your land under foreclosure because you can't make your house payments. And we're here to teach the Hawaiian people to stay free. And then I walked away. Because I'm like, I don't need the drama. Anyway.
They let you buy your soda?
No. I know, right? I know. I mean, that's what kind of a mob mentality can happen. When they force it, when they watch the media, when they listen to all the fear porn on the news. I know, it's to keep everybody else healthy, right? You're like, no, I am not a slave and I will not comply. I do not consent. So how do we go into court and win? We do the affidavit. By the way, it's a maxim of law. An affidavit, okay, truth is sovereign in commerce. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. An affidavit that goes unrebutted is entitled to a judgment as a matter of law. If a remedy has been subverted or hidden from you, you have the right to create your own remedy, endow it with credibility, and put it in an affidavit of truth and file it into the public record. Should I go through that again? It's very important that you know these maxims. By the way, these maxims are in my thumb drive underneath the cover sheet, because I always send out those maxims. Truth is sovereign in commerce. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. An affidavit unrebutted is entitled to a judgment as a matter of law. If a remedy is subverted or hidden from you, you have the right to create your own remedy, endow it with credibility, put it in an affidavit, and publicly publish it. So again, if you're ever standing in front of a judge, and let's say they put you through a big storm, and you're standing in front of the judge, and there's no remedy available, that's when you say, well, Your Honor, it seems that all my remedies have been subverted from and hidden from me. Therefore, you know where there's an injury, I'm entitled to a remedy. Shall I create my own, or will you make one for me? Because if I create my own, I'll be very generous with myself. They know what you're talking about. They're going to be like, oh no. They went to a David Straight seminar. They learned all that good stuff, right? You got to know that if there is an injury, you're entitled to a remedy. If there's an injury, you're entitled to a remedy. You guys are familiar with the First Amendment, right? This is stuff you need to know. You got to have it stored in your heart and in your mind. You got to be able to, and teach your young people, teach your children while they're little. You see that little cute girl over there with the pink hair? She knows the Constitution. She's only 19. She teaches people by TikTok videos and puts all this truth out there. She is a trailblazer at 19 years old. Could you imagine if you and I had that kind of information when we were that age? What would this country look like right now? We'd be running the country, wouldn't we? So the First Amendment, right? This is what, freedom of speech. Freedom, I heard somebody else say it too. Freedom of religion. What else you got? Already got it right here. Yep. Freedom of assembly. And my favorite is your right to redress. Okay. That means you have a right to be restored and made whole if there's been a trespass on your God-given liberty. Now, when they did the freedom of assembly, was Grandma dying of COVID in the hospital and they wouldn't let you visit Grandma and sit by her bedside while she was suffering? And so she died sooner because she had no comfort in the hospital room. Did that happen to anybody you know? That was a violation of freedom of assembly. Did you sue the hospital? Hospitals are corporations. Corporations are suable as persons underneath Monell versus Department of Social Services. Well, let's own a few hospitals. What do you say? Yes. I mean, why not? You can. How much is Grandma's life worth? I know, right? A couple million? I know, right? Why are we not redressing our grievances? They're giving us a permission slip to sue them. The mandates have already been found unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court. That happened in year before last, I believe it's 21, December 21, they found the Biden mandates unconstitutional. They gave us a permission slip to sue. Right. And by the way, I know David told you, but you can go back 99 years and claim your grandpa's estate, your father's estate, whoever's already passed on, you can claim their estates too. Well, who's on the death certificate as the next of kin? Right,
How do we go back and find,
right. What's that?
how do we go back and find the mandates? About the hospitals
The Biden mandates are to be found unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court. Should be published in the government publishing office, the U.S. Supreme Court decision. The right to redress, it means you have the right to sue. How about religion? Did you know they're doing a religious practice in every courtroom? Black robes, masks, everything that they do is a satanic religion of the dead. Even the summons, they're doing a seance. David already talked to you about that, right? By the way, one of the things I want to tell you, oh man, is my Bible over there? I want to read some things to you.